Hi, my name is Victoria Arzu. I'm the creator and mastermind of Proyecto Más Color, created 9 years ago in 2013, being the first YouTube channel to speak out about the injustice of the lack of representation of Afro-Latinos in the media, specifically Univision and Telemundo. My focus is to shed light upon, which I did, the messed upness of how we are just shoved under the rug and how Afro-Latinos have been Latin America's dirty little secret for a long time until I put a megaphone to that stuff. And so my intent is to unify the Latino community. It is not to be divisive. It is to make sure that we are seen and respected and heard and not neglected and counted, even by numbers with the census, as Latinos, as people who are just as Latino as J-Lo. I would love to introduce Julian Laboriel, who also goes by Julian Steve on YouTube. Julian is an Afro-Latino of Honduran descent, just like me. Yeah, I'm just curious about like who you are and what has been your experience as an Afro-Latino in the United States, and how can we come to a point of understanding?
Oh, that's a good
Understanding,
question.
yeah.
Oh my God, that's a good question.
And
My
I'm
experience.
sorry, let me
Oh no, that's fine.
qualify that. Like understanding why it's important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I'm gonna start off growing up. So I grew up in the Bronx, New York City, and when I told people back then, specifically when I was in middle school, no, elementary school and middle school, I would tell people that my parents are from Honduras, and then they would look at me like I'm crazy. They would be like, "What are you talking about? You black," and I'm like, "I know that, but my parents are from Honduras." And then there was also a few times there was some people they would be like, "Bet if you're from Honduras, then you're not black," and I'm like, "Bet." You know, you could see it. And it's like, this is crazy. How you telling me what I am? And then on top of that, it's like I've known some specific. And I'm not saying like once again, I'm not saying it's all Latinos, but I've noticed that some Latinos, when I would tell them like when they actually believe me that I am, my parents are from Honduras, they will be like start to say stuff that's kind of like it's not even kind of it is anti-black. They will be like, oh, how you saying you black, but you from Honduras? Because they would like to put the ethnicity over the race. And it's like I'm both. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna pick either or. So that's why I ended up identifying as Afro Latino because I started to do research on the terminology back in 2012, and then it's so funny. But I believe I saw your video back in I think was it 2014 or 2015?
20
Yeah,
we
it
had
was
our
one of
first video in 2013, and then like
okay.
2014, because like I moved to Atlanta December 2013, and then like it folded into 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I probably watched the video either 2014 or 2015 because around 2012 through 2013, 2014, I had to do research on the terminology because that's when I started to hear, I heard about it. And I was like, should I start calling myself that? But then like, if you see my video, my old video about being Afro Latino in 2020 on my YouTube channel, I talked about how when I found out about the terminology around 2012, 2013, I was like, okay, this does not, I was like, whoa, this doesn't make sense because, um, usually when you hear Afro, you talk about the hair, but then I realized Afro could also mean someone who's African descent. So that's why I was like, wait a minute. This does make sense. I'm just acting dumb. It's really no, it happens. And then
Yeah.
I do know there's some Afro-Latinos who have that similar situation. That's an situation too. So I do get it. That's why I try to not judge when I hear certain Afro-Latinos who do not feel comfortable identifying with the term, which makes sense because it's like what I just said previously. It's good to research more, or if not, find YouTube videos. Like, thanks to your video on YouTube, you educated me and other Afro Latinos. Even though I know I don't know if you want to get into this, but I want to bring this up because I did mention it in my previous video. How mixed race Afro Latinos, they take advantage of the Afro Latino term, and they don't try to embrace all Afro Latinos. They just want to embrace specific. Yes, you know what I'm talking. Specifically, they just want to be. They want to represent the fair skinned Afro Latinos, and I feel like when we talk about it to some extent, like us, us in general, especially us who are brown to darker skin, it's like nobody doesn't want to hear us, which doesn't make sense because yes, sure, mixed race Afro Latinos, they do face discrimination, they do face colorism too, but we gotta be real. When if you brown to darker skin with two black parents, the colorism and racism you're gonna experience is twice, if not three times more drastic. And then it's like I get it. Like people do want to hear from those Afro Latinos, but at the same time, it's like you gotta also hear from the marginalized group from it within the Afro Latino within the Afro Latino group. You cannot only just listen to the ones who are mixed race. And then if I don't know if you've seen it, but when I look up the Afro Latino term on YouTube or Afro Latina or Afro Latinx, I've noticed that most of the people are fair skinned. And then they the ones who are sharing their experiences in these huge platforms. And then some of them on top of it, some of them they're not even Afro Latino. They just have like, not to be disrespectful, but it's the truth. They have identity issues, and they think they Afro Latino, but they're not. And then they are speaking for us. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And then when you go on the channels, nobody's our complexion. And if they are, it's rare. It's very rare. And then at first I was like, am I crazy? But then I'm like, nah, I'm not crazy. So then I did more information, and I did the video that came out recently. You do have a point when you told me about your story about how you felt like some Afro Latinos, they took you out of the movement. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I agree. But I wasn't trying to start any drama, but no, I agree with you. I feel like they took advantage of the movement, and they wanted to outshine you, which is stupid because I thought we in the same team.
And what happened was there was just a lot of plagiarizing of my ideas from other Afro Latinos who were inspired by the ideas, but who showed me little credit and who didn't join my movement. They saw it as an opportunity to get recognition for being Afro Latino as well. So it became a contest. It became like a contest of like who's more Afro Latino than the next person, who is black, who is not black, who is Afro Latino, who is not.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry talking too much. I want to hear what you guys say, Victoria.
No. I want to thank you because it's not about credit. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about attention. It's not about who can outshine the next Afro Latino. That's not what it's about. This is a
Exactly.
brotherhood. This is a coalition. How are you going to compete with your sister?
Exactly.
You can't do that. If you want progress, if you want to be represented politically in society, You cannot go against each other. And that's a huge problem in the Black community in general.
Yes, in general. In general.
It needs to be talked about because we cannot move forward without loving each other, you know, and it doesn't matter where you're from. Like Proyecto Más Color, it doesn't have to be limited to the Latino culture. It could be Pan-African.
Yeah.
Because wherever I go, I'm going to be treated poorly, whether that's China. Actually, I wasn't treated poorly in China, but because I mean, like some people in some different countries, they are aware of other people. They're aware of that different people exist. And to be gaslighted by the people from your own country.
Yeah.
Like mestizo Latinos or mixed Latinos who pass for white and who want to be called white Latinos, which is I have opinions on that. I'm gonna keep it to myself. If they want to do that, recognize Afro-Latinos. At least. If they want to do that, put us in the census. Because it's not like we've never existed. And I kind of forgot where I was going with the tangent, but it's not like we've never existed. It's that we've been gaslighted.
Yes.
We've been dismissed, denied, disowned. It's like we were Latin America's dirty little secret.
Yeah.
And so my point of the channel, no, I wasn't always posting. No, I wasn't always like trying to make a point. But I put in some seeds. I put in some popcorn seeds. Let's just put it at that.
Yeah.
And that's what the whole purpose is. This is not about me, but at the same time, don't disrespect me, you know, by just like completely acting like you didn't like get this idea from someone else. You know, so it's not about a competition. It really isn't. It's really sad, but it's also very telling of what we endure with ourselves and with people outside of our realm. So this is a classic case. I studied poli-sci in college. I studied poli-sci and philosophy. I don't regret it. But this is a case of the crabs at the bottom of the barrel in society where people want power. White Latinos, they want power. They want the limelight. They want all the goods that come with being who they are. And it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not equitable. It's not right.
I was going to ask you, Victoria, because you had your channel for quite some time. I want to ask you, when you made that video with your sister, how did you and your sister felt in that moment? And the second question is, did you receive any backlash or people acting crazy? I just want to know.
Yeah, like I said, I just like my approach was, I'm gonna plant a seed. I'm gonna plant a seed in people's minds. I'm just gonna let it grow. My sister and I, we disagreed on the trajectory of the channel. The trajectory, I wanted it to be political. She didn't. And that's it. You know, she didn't want politics or like, I wanted to petition Univision and Telemundo with a real petition. When we had a petition on change.org and a lot of people signed it, but it didn't follow through because we had a disagreement on the trajectory. She wanted it to be more about identity and
Mm-hmm.
representation in the media, which is definitely what I want too.
Mm-hmm.
But I want there to be a check box for Afro Latinos. I
Mm-hmm.
want there to be political representation and media representation. I want this to be a civil rights movement. I want this to be a human rights movement because if I can prove that the lack of representation on TV, if I can prove that that contributes to disadvantagement, like being
Mm-hmm.
disadvantaged in society, which it does, then this could be big. This could be like something that really, really, really changes the world. Representation is the goal, yes. But what are we
Mm-hmm.
going to do with that? What are we going to do now that we're out? What's the next step? It's not enough to just be recognized. It's more to actually incite change. And
Mm-hmm.
like, because we have a lot of like younger generation Afro Latino kids, we need them to be able to see themselves on TV,
Yes.
you know? And I didn't even watch Encanto, and I probably won't because I'm not a watcher. I don't watch like, I get so frustrated with the media. I get so frustrated with movies because these are other people's ideas and they're influencing people and they're just disillusioning people.
I don't know if you see my those videos. I did not watch In the Heights, and I'm making it clear I'm never watching that movie. I didn't watch West Side Story.
Okay?
The only movie I watched was Encanto. And Encanto for me,
Was it
and
good?
you probably yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. It was
Okay.
good. I did have my own criticism. Like if you seen the video I made about that movie, you're gonna see, oh, I get what he's coming from. Do you want me to tell you my criticism or you
Yes,
rather
please.
okay.
Please.
So my issue is when the media puts too much emphasis on interracial dating. And I noticed that in this movie they use the dad, the dad Phoenix, he's an Afro Latino, and then the mom, I forget, I think it's Julieta or something like that. She's she's a non-black Latina, and long story short, they had kids, blah blah. Like you see the movie, they have kids, and they Afro Latinos, but you know, at the end of the day, they they are mixed race. They're not fully black. So basically, my criticism was that I wish that they had an actual Afro Latino couple in the movie. Like I wasn't asking for anything big. I was just like maybe a small role or something, something simple because they already had an interracial couple with Afro Latino kids. But I wanted to see a couple, like a black couple. I wanted to see that.
That's what I want to
And
see too. And yeah,
mhm.
I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna watch it because I don't see I don't see people who represent my parents, you know?
Exactly.
I don't see a chocolate or darker girl who's speaking
Hmm.
Spanish and who's just as good as the little mixed one or the indigenous
Hmm.
mestizo one. We are
Yeah.
just as Latino. We are just as Latino as them. In our countries, we are neighbors and families, and they have
Hmm.
grandmothers that look like us. And it's just like, you cannot negate our existence.
Exactly.
That is hugely disrespectful.
I admire your passion because you get where I'm coming from too. And what I appreciate about my subscribers for the most part, like the ones that, genuinely listen without getting offended, they understood where I was coming from. And the people that would comment, they were like, no, I agree with you. There needs to be a movie about Afro Latinos, like in general, black Afro Latinos, not mixed black. Like, both parents are black. And I agree. I absolutely agree with that. And that was what I was trying to say with, that portion of the video. And I even made it clear, like, I do not have an issue with that. Like, okay, I get it. that mixed race Afro-Latinos that need to be represented too. But I've noticed it's a contiguous cycle, like In the Heights, West Side Story, Encanto. What else? What's next? I'm gonna give Hollywood 2 to 3 years. If I don't see some type of drastic change, I'm gonna you're just gonna see I'm gonna go crazy. But
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Cause
We
like
don't
it's
have time for
crazy. Like
that,
it
honestly.
mm-hmm.
You know, at least you're giving them grace. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it was fine, Victoria.
We don't have time for that. It's been 9 years.
Exactly.
It's been 9 years. I'm changing careers. Like, what's going on? Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
not okay. It's not okay. What we have to do, really, Julian, we have to build the table that goes to the seat at this
Yeah.
table that they didn't want us to be
Mm-hmm.
present at. We have to create our own seat at the table.
Yeah, I was gonna say
So from the bottom up, like I admire Issa Rae because
me too.
she was like, you know what? Screw everything. I'm gonna make my own thing. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
make my own screenwriting, my own productions, like DIY, so that people like me, like the awkward black girl archetype, or just
Mm-hmm.
like the black girl who is not like um a stereotype,
A stereotype. Mm-hmm.
yeah, just so we can be represented too. So I admire that. We don't really know the extent of the effect of the media, but the media knows. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Those masterminds, those script writers, those producers like Miranda, what's his name?
Oh yeah, I can't
He
stand him.
knows. He knows how powerful he's being right now. And that's exactly why the oppression of people who look like us continues.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be honest. It's also be our own people too. It be black people as well. So, but we all know it's always the non-black executives that be doing all this type of stuff, but it be black representatives as well on the top, and we gotta change that.
We have
And that's
to.
why I feel like people gotta start calling out people. And I feel like even because I do understand, like for example, like I have friends who are not black, but they do notice when there's some injustices. Sometimes it even be from black people, but they don't feel like it's their space to say something. And now this is gonna be me telling you, if you notice there's something weird going on with between two black people, and it has to do with colorism, you better speak out. I don't care because yeah, sure, you're not black, but if you know something is fucked up, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I keep cursing.
Oh,
But
it's
it's
okay.
something,
It's okay.
something that is messed up,
Uh-huh.
you need to speak up about it because why are you going to be silent if you right there? I don't
Yeah.
know. That's just me. I wouldn't do that. I would speak up.
Yeah. And that's the challenge that comes with speaking up. Like people don't like that.
Yeah.
People don't like that. People don't like to operate on the truth because it's easier to operate on lies. It's easier to be superficial. It's
Mm-hmm.
easier to be petty. Infinite cycle of negativity. And it takes like a lot of strength to ignore that and just focus on the goal. And the goal is the goal is a world where I'm sorry. The goal is a world where there's a puzzle piece for us. There's no puzzle piece for Black people,
Yeah.
no matter where you go. And that's something that we all experience. So that's like why it's hurtful when we can't unify. We have to. We have to. Otherwise, it's going to be the same stuff. It's never going to change. So it's not like one has it better than the other. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you might pass. This is just like what African Americans went through 50 years ago. The brown paper bag thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now mestizo Latinos are just like, okay, we'll pander to the mixed Latinos who look like, they got the hair and
Exactly. Yeah.
who would look like 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 an Afro-Latino if we could fool the public.
Yeah.
Let's try to fool the
Exactly.
public into thinking that this is an Afro-Latino, someone who's mixed.
Mix. Mm-hmm.
They think we're stupid. It's very, very
Mm-hmm.
insulting. But
Exactly.
it takes like, we have to ignore that. You have to ignore that and focus on the goal. The goal is to have a world where Afro-Latino kids like us can feel comfortable and proud of saying, yes, I'm Afro-Latino.
What I noticed is that it's a common theme within the Black American and the Afro Latino communities. I've noticed that. Like I could always speak for that because that's basically what I see and what I've experienced as of now. I'm not too sure, but I do know in oh wait, I'm lying. It's also even in Black Caribbean countries like Jamaica, Haiti, even though Haiti, in case nobody knows this, Haiti is considered a Latin country, but
Yeah.
they don't. But they are not all, but for what I've seen, and if you see my recent video, there are Afro Haitians who do not identify as Afro Latino, and which or Latino in general, which I understand because of the anti-blackness within the Latino community. I do get why they don't. My point is when it comes to like Caribbean countries, like for example Jamaica or even Trinidad, they have issues with colorism too. Because I've seen videos from content creators. They talked about the colorism in their countries as well overseas, and it's not like we crazy. This is real, but people try to
Mm-hmm.
gaslight us and think that we're making this up when we call it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm an expert at knowing when I'm gaslighted
Yeah.
because it happens all the time. And I just gotta shrug my shoulders and just be like, man, people, because I can't be mad about it because it's just the way the system works, and it's the way that the system affects the psychology of people.
Mhm.
Like, there is such thing as an existential lottery. If you're white, you won the lottery, okay?
Mhm.
And what are you going to do with your fate? Are you going to continue to have your privilege, or are
Exactly.
you going to stand up and do what's right? And if you didn't win the lottery, no, you're not going to be a victim. No. But even though we are victimized, but I mean, like, you're not going to like parade yourself and be like, I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim. Yes, we're victimized, but we have to stand up.
Yes.
You have to. I hate the term minority. I don't even use it to call myself a minority
You know
because
what's crazy?
it's pejorative. It's
You're gonna
like,
find this crazy, but I prefer that word more than people of color because the thing with
really?
me is like I'm gonna tell you why. Like, don't get me wrong. Yes, sure, we all consider a minority. Yes, we all consider a person of color. But the thing is, I've noticed that when it comes to the term people of color, let's use this example. When it comes to the N word, when you mean like, oh, non-black people should not be using the N word, right? Some people that are identified as a POC would be like, oh, what are you talking about? I'm Asian or I'm indigenous or like I'm a mixed race Latino. Yeah, they will use that
Uh-huh.
to their advantage. And it's like, what is wrong with you? You do know that that you know where this term comes from, and you already know in your community there are racist people too. So it's like, what you talking about? You know damn well you're not supposed to be saying the N-word. And it's like, when you try to explain this to people, when it's said to people, because my friends that are, people of color, they have common sense. But I'll tell you what, the ones who do not, they try to think that you're the crazy one, and it's like, read a book, find out more about history. Because
Yeah.
I know I'm serious, because like it don't make sense. You should know that you shouldn't be saying the N-word, but you want me to
Thank
explain this to
you.
you. If you see my videos, majority of the time when I talk about POCs, I always say Black and people of color. I always make the distinction so people can know that to me, I don't see myself, even though yes, we are people of color, I don't fit myself in that category. I always try to separate the two. And then when it comes to the word minority, and like what you just mentioned, for some reason I prefer that word, even though POC and minority is it's the same thing. But we all know minority has a different connotation to the word, and I don't know, for some reason, minority to me, I don't get that offended. I think it's because, of course, it is a word that describes people who are, that receive prejudice. I feel like since minority is not as popularized as POC, I think that's probably why I prefer, that terminology more than POC. But I want to hear your take on this.
I love this discussion because it's creating a spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are trying to qualify, hey, there are Black people who, no matter where you go in the world, we will be discriminated against in a millisecond.
Yes.
Then there are people who pass for white. There are people who are Asian. There are people who are, not Black, but they are a person of color.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that mean? Okay. First of all, when I studied political science, we use the term hegemony and minority in terms of numbers, like numbers and power. So the hegemony means those who control the rest of society through their power. And that's white people. Now, however they feel about that, look, white guilt is not my problem. I feel for you. I know it's uncomfortable. I've had white friends who completely unfriended me real bad when they found out I was doing Proyecto Más Color because they feel a certain guilt. They feel a guilt about their ancestors' history, and I get that, but there's no reason to be mad about that.
Exactly.
I studied the way things are, and I'm looking at what's wrong, and I'm trying to fix some problems.
Exactly.
It has nothing to do with feelings, but a lot of feelings get hurt. Okay, so bam, we got that problem. But the term minority, I don't like it because we have to talk about the implications of that term. And from what we were force fed in high school was Darwinism, evolution, which completely just messes up everybody's idea of race. We have to visit what happened in the United States not too long ago with the eugenics movement, when people were literally being snuffed out because of their race or their disability. Eugenics was about, let's create a pure race, systematically disadvantage and kill people who we don't want in our blood soup. The term minority makes me think of eugenics. It makes me think of ethnic cleansing. The terms that,
Oh yeah,
yes, like in
I get
Europe,
what you're
that's what
saying.
they use. Like for Slavic people from like Yugoslavia, Bosnia, from the Eastern
Mhm.
European parts, they were slaughtered. This was in the 90s. When we were 10 years old, I remember seeing on the news like Slobodan Milosevic and all these things, and like people fighting wars based on religion and blood type and like mixedness. Like
Oh my god.
if they were too spicy white, they would be obliterated. That is wrong on so many
Yeah, I
levels.
was gonna say that's weird.
Yes, and so if that's going on amongst white people, what do they think about us?
Mhm.
So that's what the term minority makes me think about. And I think I
Okay.
have a point, because it's like it's not about like being a person of color or whatever that means. You
Yeah.
know, I reject a lot of social terms because I don't understand what you mean by that, and I
Mhm.
don't like what it means right now. And I feel like we need to clarify that because it doesn't make sense. You got to go on truth. You got to operate on truth. And if it's simply not true that one phenotype of a human being is superior or inferior to another phenotype, like you have to be willing to say, hey, you have to humble yourself and say, hey, we are the same. We are all the same. We are all a bag of dust in the wind. I'm sorry. I'm like, so I am
No, it's
so
fine. Cause that's good. No, because I asked you the question, so it's good that I'm happy we had a discussion about this because no,
yeah.
I was curious. It was very interesting. Also, like I was curious to hear your point of view. You was curious to hear my point of view on the term. So I'm happy we talked about this.
If you want to join forces, or if you just want to like keep it so that we at least talk about these things, that's cool with me. I will make more of an effort to introduce ideas that need to be talked about
Mhm.
in this movement. Now that I got the popcorn popping,
Mhm.
it was unfortunate that people took advantage of the dialogue of the platform
Yeah.
dialogue. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but I'm gonna forgive that, because this is about something bigger than me. you know at least people know now, and at least people are talking about it, and that's something that wasn't happening 9 years ago. No, I have to talk about an issue that is an issue, like amongst African Americans and Afro-Latinos.
Yeah.
There's tension, and it's not cool. It's not cool, because that's why I promote Pan-Africanism, which is basically the idea that wherever you are, you black, you black, you black. Okay, all right, let's join forces.
Yes.
I go to England, you black, okay, yeah, let's join forces. Let me go to Russia. I don't know if there's black people in Russia. I think there are black people in Russia. Okay, I shouldn't even say the word Russia right now. Let me like
Yeah.
okay, I'm sorry about that. But like China, Australia, you black,
Mhm.
okay, you Aboriginal, okay, yeah, like come here. Let's talk about how we're gonna make the world a better place for us, because we need to make the seat. We need to
Yeah.
build the seat at the table. And we need to shove the seat at the table and be like, look, this is us. We're gonna make that first move. I'm a huge chess fan. I play chess. My dad taught me when I was 10, and I never stopped, and I love it. I'm actually a chess coach for kids. And
Wow.
I think about the world like a chessboard. And guess who goes first?
I
The
was gonna
white.
say, yeah, no.
That's life. What are we going to do as the first move of the black pawn? And I know this sounds super like radical, but it's not. It's really not radical. It's actually very logical. You know, I'm not trying to be like a Malcolm X or anything, or, you
Yeah.
know, I'm just trying to make sure that MLK didn't die in vain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to make sure that when I speak to someone, they're listening to what I have to say and they're not letting their stereotypes about my skin color be louder than the words that I'm saying.
Yeah.
Your content of your character matters more than what you look like. What I'm basically trying to say is that unification is the only answer. And if you don't want to unify, then you're on the other side.
Yeah. And I'm so happy you bring this up, Victoria, because I was gonna ask you, like, as a final question from, for me, because are you planning to continue to push your messages out there on YouTube? Because don't get me wrong, I like to, talk about the Afro Latino experience on my channel, talk about different topics related to Afro Latinos, but it's always good to have more than one person doing it. And I'm saying because, like, of course, there are Afro Latino content creators, like I've mentioned in the previous video on my channel, but there's a specific type. If you know what I'm talking, you know what I'm talking about, Victoria. There's specific types, and then there's also some who either gave up a few years ago or they had to niche down or like had to niche into other things because the algorithm is stingy and or they just don't want to promote Afro Latinos that are our complexions. I hope that you continue your movement on YouTube and that if me and you we could support each other, we can support each other
You got
and oh yeah to
it.
push in our messages because it's like what you said, this is not no competition. We need as many voices as possible.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you definitely helped me like try to believe in it again, because it's just like it was pretty discouraging to like see like the result, but this is more fuel, this is more motivation. This is definitely more motivation to continue speaking up, because I didn't know what to do. I was like, I don't want to delete the channel. No, because it started everything, but I don't want to give up. So I'm definitely not going to give up.
I'm suggesting for you because since you tried to get back into it and you already have a decent amount of subscribers, I feel like you could easily double your platform within the by the end of this year if you just continue the momentum. I know that, like you said, it's kind of hard, especially because you're a person who's not into the internet like that, and then I know you had to take your break for your personal reasons, but I have so much hope for your channel. So I'm serious. If you want me to, I'm gonna make sure I send you whatever I gotta send you, so that could motivate you more, and you could get an inspiration to do what you have to do.
You're an angel. You're an
Stop it.
angel. No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is exactly what I needed. And I always like, I know like I go through things and like years pass and stuff,
Mhm.
but I never lose faith. Like I never lose that hope that like things will work out in the end.
Mhm.
It's like it's messy, but things will work out in the end. And I never doubt that like God's gonna bring the right people in my life. And
Yes.
he definitely brought you, like he definitely
Uh,
was just like, look, girl, look, there's Julian. Julian is gonna like re-inspire you. And I really want to thank you for that.
uh, Thank you, Victoria.
You're
But you
welcome.
know me. I mean every word I'm saying. I mean it.
Thank you so much. And you need to go ahead and like and subscribe each of our channels if you would like to continue the discussions that we had today.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining our discussion. We appreciate it. And let us know your opinions in the comments down below. And do not be shy. Share the video with people, your people. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.